Morning, February. We are beginning. Uh-oh. Wait. Yuda, can you see me? Can you hear me? It's saying that the Zoom isn't responding and the app is going to close. That's unusual. Okay, see what happens. Yuda, send me a WhatsApp if anything happens. Let me start
So
again.
far, it's good. Now you're frozen.
Okay. Good morning, February. Today is the second day of Menachem Av. And you would think that if a person is suffering in this world, you would have what to complain about. Instead, the Alter Rebbe brings a very interesting perspective. He says, if you're going through some kind of a suffering, instead of being upset, frustrated, angry, resentful, you say, you know what? Maybe I had to suffer in this world so I wouldn't have to suffer so much in the next. Takes a little bit of the pain away. Perek Yud Beis, chapter 12 in Igeres HaTshuva. It's a good time to be doing tshuva in the 9 days. The Alter Rebbe explained in the previous chapter that although a Baal Tshuva, a person who's doing tshuva, should always remember his past sins, his recollection should not lead to a state of ongoing depression or shame. Such an attitude would cripple a person. If you're full of shame and sorrow and pain and sadness, you're not going to be able to serve Hashem with joy. So rather, serve Hashem with joy and look at the pain as some kind of a teaching moment to try to figure out what and why he's going through this. Moreover, these memories will actually enhance the joy of his service, for they cause him to accept with a happy manner all of the pain and suffering that he goes through, whether it's physical abuse, verbal, and of course, not to retaliate and not to respond, as we talked about yesterday. Okay, B'tama Simcha, Yisurim Aguf. Let's say a person's, the Alter Rebbe is suggesting that we're happy if we have some kind of a suffering. So he says the reason for joy in the suffering of the body, it's a great favor to the sinner. And what? Not to the sinner himself, but to the neshama. L'marka ba'ilam hazeh, to cleanse the soul in this world. L'atzila mehameruk b'gehinnom, to spirit from being scoured in Gehenna. What happens is every soul, says, before we learn Pirkei Avos, we say the pasuk, Kol Yisrael yesh lem chelik le'elam haba. Every Jew has a portion of the world to come, right? God willing, that's where we're going after 120 years to a blissful experience in the Garden of Eden up there, right? But just like you're about to go to a nice party, a wedding, a simcha, you got to go get cleaned up. But what if you're all muddy and disgusting and dirty? So you got to go and really scrub clean. If it's permanent marker, it's going to take a lot longer to get that off. It's going to hurt when you scrub it. You got to scrub it, scrub it, scrub. Sometimes it's going to be raw and red because you got to really scrub it off. Apparently, and none of us could say they know this from experience. Maybe our souls have been there, but the cleansing process in what they call Gehenna, it's like the taking a very hot shower or preparation for Gan Eden. It could be painful, especially if we don't behave ourselves and conduct ourselves the way we should in this world. So going through some kind of a pain in this world, he says, is actually good for the soul because it cleanses it and it spares it from the scouring, the real intense cleaning process in Gehenna. Especially in these generations, remember a few chapters earlier, previously, we talked about that for every sin, there's a corresponding prescription of how many fasts you should go through. So Alter Rebbe says these days we can barely get through the few fasts that we're given. So if we can't fast, we should give tzedakah an equivalent to the fast. And not that Not that that's in place of tshuva, chas v'shalom. Tshuva means that you stop doing what you resolve to stop doing what you were doing before, or you make sure to do what you miss doing. But it's an extra gift to Hashem, showing him how contrite and how sincere you are. So he says that one cannot endure these fasts. These fasts would be a good part of the process that would help us if we had to go to this cleansing spiritually up in heaven. But if we don't do that, so what? So he says, okay, maybe the suffering that we endure takes place of that cleansing. Shafilu Yisurim Shel Iyuv Ayin Shana Ein Lahem Erech Klal the Yisuri HaNefesh Shah Achas Begenu. Nachmanides writes in the introduction to his commentary on Iyuv that even the suffering of Iyuv for 70 years, there's no comparison to the suffering of a neshama soul for even 1 hour in Gehenna. The physical fire is but 1/60th of the fire of Gehenna. We think fire is hot. You put your finger, ouch, it hurts, you burn yourself. It's only 1/60th of the fire of Gehenna. Okay, the fact is that this world is built by kindness. For this reason, we go through mild suffering. Get into a car accident, you stub your toe in the middle of the night. Yeah, it hurts. You cry. You know what? You take a moment, you're like, oh, maybe this is allowing me to avoid much, much more tremendous pain in the next world. Okay, now I can laugh about it. Now I can smile about it. Kimshal, hiluch, atokas, atzel, be'eretz tefach. This is analogous to the movement of a shadow on earth, of a hand's breadth. If you hiluch, galgal hashemesh, rakia alafi milim. When you move and you're causing a shadow from the sun, it equals the sun's movement in the sky, which is thousands of miles, actually it's millions of miles away, right? The sun is so far away, meaning the sun's movements of all those miles causes a corresponding movement of but a few inches of shadow here. You stand still, you notice in the morning when the sun's out. By the way, all this outside, I don't think it's supposed to rain today. It's all from the smoke from Canada. Do you guys know that? Well, look it up. You'll figure it out. It's crazy. In camp up in my sons are in camp. They're wearing masks now because further north it's much worse. Anyways, back to what we're saying here. So you see how this, if the sun is shining and it's hitting a tree, and you see the shadow, but as the sun moves, the shadow will move also. But the sun is 92 million miles away, and it's moving, I guess, a lot. But for us, it's the comparison, the numbers are incomparable. V'yeser kain lein kates hu benimshal. Infinitely more. It's true in the parallel. When it comes to the descent of the world from level to level, from the most exalted heights, spiritually, until this physical world. Okay, so the Alter Rebbe explains the analogy as follows. Any event that transpires in this world, there's a mirror that's taking place, an event that's taking place previously in the spiritual worlds. Thus, the effect of an event in this physical world is much greater than those lofty worlds. The Abishur wanted it to take place in this world. That somehow it could be this is the world that God chose to have his dwelling, his comfort zone, if you will. We see this in the teachings of the Zohar on the elevation of the higher worlds. So we see from the Zohar on the elevation of the higher worlds, they get an elevation as a result of the spiritual arousal that we do from below. We bring a korban, an offering of a fowl, or a dove, or a pigeon, or even a meal offering. The heavens waits for us to have its spiritual ascent. You wouldn't think that they need us, but they need us. They come and they wait for us to daven and sing along and all these. And we say, Kaddish, Kaddish, and Baruch Hashem. Baruch Kved Hashem. The Zohar teaches that offering But one such representative carbon, or even flour or grain from the vegetative world, elevates all the spiritual realms. Marizal, we discussed this when it comes to physical mitzvahs. When we put on tefillin, we cause a ripple effect in the cosmos, in the spiritual realms. We don't know what. We don't know what happens. So mitzvahs performed in this world, like tzitzis, made of wool, or tefillin, and the Torah and the mezuzah on parchment, create a reverberation in the spiritual world. Our sages comment. Our sages comment on the pasuk. Iskadishtem, you should sanctify yourself. Vayisem kedoshim, and you should be holy. Adam mekadesh atzmai ma'at milamata, v'kat shemaisei harbe milamayla. When a person sanctifies himself only a little, meaning, comments that have in quantity, a little bit in quantity, and also in quality, he becomes sanctified in great measure above. When we say the words, when we say a bracha, you have sanctified us with his commandments. You have made us holy through his commandments. It's not a command, but a connection. You have made us holy through these connections. That Bnei Yisrael's sanctification through mitzvahs is bound up with the infinite life force that encompasses and transcends all the worlds. So thus the physical performance of a divine mitzvah in this world draws down upon the individual holiness, not only from the lofty spiritual worlds, but also from the degree of godliness that transcends the spiritual worlds. And our world, of course. Precisely so in reference to reward and punishment. What does this mean? The reward of the performance of the mitzvah infinitely surpasses the physical deed itself. We say schar mitzvah, mitzvah gives us the opportunity to connect to God, but the reward is so much greater. Unfortunately, the punishment as well. Suffering by an individual in this world for his sins substitutes a far greater measure of punishment than the person would have undergone had it been given in the world to come. So if anything, it's a good thing. It's hard to say that when we're going through it, but if we knew that, it makes it a little easier, it takes the sting out of it. Our sages have said that the reward of a mitzvah is a mitzvah, and the opposite also, right? If you do an avera, meaning the reward of a mitzvah, a spiritual mitzvah, is drawing down the spiritual, godly blessing and energy through the fulfillment of the mitzvah. That is the reward of the mitzvah, as we've discussed at great length elsewhere. The knowledge is elementary. We've discussed this in the past. The maskal davar yimtza toiv, which means if you want to explore this matter, that's great. Okay, so the takeaway is the world is a microcosm of the upper worlds. Whatever goes down here, whatever goes on down here in this world has already taken place up there, and your small good deed down here has a bigger effect up there. It works both ways. Your small challenges down here saves you from bigger pain up there. So God willing, instead of leading to frustration, anger, resentment, it could lead to joy, a little patience, a little understanding that, maybe there's a reason, and maybe it has to be, and maybe it's good for me, even though we ask Hashem for each other. Ease the pain a little bit because it's hard for us to understand. In any event, have a wonderful day. This concludes the section of Igeres HaTshuva. It also includes the chapter that we learned today, one full chapter, chapter 12 of Igeres HaTshuva. And tomorrow we begin Igeres HaKodesh. Have a wonderful day, everyone.